Hello and welcome. Today on News Laundry, I have with me Mr. Ram Madhav, the national spokesperson of the Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh. Hello and welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Jai Shri Ram.
Thank you.
Is that appropriate greeting? I mean, Jai Shri Ram as in Ram the God, not Ram Madhav.
It's always an appropriate greeting in North India. I mean, irrespective of whether it is RSS or otherwise, Jai Shri Ram is a greeting in North India anyway.
But not in the South, which is where you're from.
Not so very popular or normal way of greeting in South India.
So
in South India, it is mostly Namaskar.
What is your preferred greeting now?
No, Jai Shri Ram is fine. From your side, from my side, Namaskar.
Yeah, okay. Actually, honestly, when I was young, our gardener, Mali, he would say Jai Shri Ram, and there was no self-consciousness in saying Jai Shri Ram. I'm talking in, the early 80s. Now there's a political association if you greet someone like that. Do you feel that change?
Maybe with some people, but generally even today you go to the countryside in North India, very naturally they greet you with Jai Ram Ji Ki, Jai Shri Ram. It's a very natural way of greeting.
I see. Okay, the first thing I'd like to ask you is for our viewers, Mr. Ram Madhav has been spokesperson since 2001 of the RSS. One of the youngest spokespersons of any party or organization. When was your first exposure to RSS?
As a child, I used to attend Shaka.
How old were you?
When I was probably 4 or 5, because my father was also a member of the RSS. So along with him, I used to attend Shaka. Many people join RSS at a very young age.
Most people, yeah.
Yes, mostly they join the organization and then slowly they understand. Then at some stage they decide whether to continue or many people don't continue also.
What is the dropout rate?
I mean, we don't have any such statistics with us.
What would you think? I mean, since you started at an early age.
What generally happens is dropout per se, it's very difficult to give in terms of actual numbers, but once you join the organization and spend some time in it, you will never forget that experience. In fact, I know people who became chief ministers of states from different parties. When we meet them after 30 years, 40 years, they would ask us, are you still doing this Namaste Sada Vatsale?
So it's like a boarding school, it's like the Doon school clique. They, like Rajiv Gandhi and his gang, they never forget what happened in school. Their loyalty remains to school more than to the country. Yes. The cabinet, what they used to call the Doon cabinet. Is it a little like that?
See, association like with RSS means association with country in a way. The way we look at the country and all these things. So that association remains in their minds forever. I
see. Just before we started this interview, actually I didn't know this before I came, Mr. Madhav informed me that actually he was 28 when the Ram Janmabhoomi movement took place, the Babri Masjid demolition, or should we call it the disputed structure demolition took place. And you were already 28. And I used to work for an organization called News Track, which Madhu Trehan had started. And you just told me that you used to take those cassettes around the country to show what happened. Is that right?
We definitely used to watch them. We used to wait for them. I think they used to be monthly news magazines like that. We used to wait for them because they used to contain 3-4 major events.
And why was this particular episode the one that had the demolition?
Ram Janmabhoomi thing and before that also. I mean, the Car Seva thing was also there in one of the cassettes. Then actual incident was there. Subsequently also on 2-3 other occasions, there were stories on Ram Janmabhoomi related issues.
And you used to show these to other shakhas? And in what light? I mean, what would they get from it?
No, because this was the actual, it was the video footage of that event, what happened there actually.
So those who did not have the good fortune of being there,
could not be there on
they could relive that moment of glory.
They would at least see that.
Oh, okay, I see. And what was the reactions like when they would watch that?
No, Ram Janmabhoomi movement in our view was a historic moment in the life of this nation, especially post-independence. Most significant moment in the life of this nation.
Sure. Before, sorry to interrupt you, I just want to get one point clear. Are you proud of that moment when the structure came down or not? So that the audience knows that what is the context of what you're saying?
About the Ram Janmabhoomi movement per se, the movement for building a Ram temple there, which was actually right from the beginning, we have always maintained that it was not about a temple. It was about the self-respect of the nation.
Sure.
In that sense, we always supported that movement. About that moment, certainly we are proud of it. But certain consequences, like that unfortunate incident on 6th December 1992, which ended in pulling down of the structure there. I can certainly say this was not there in the scheme of.
Do you feel sad when someone like Advani calls it a shameful moment, or would you rather he called it a moment of pride?
No, certain historic developments, you need not have to be judgmental about them. Everybody need not have to be judgmental about them. I'm not saying what Advaniji said is right or wrong. I'm not commenting even on his comment. But I'm saying I need not have to be judgmental about whether I should take it as a matter of pride or a matter of sorrow and all that. I would say it was a historic moment. Something which was not planned had happened. Let's take it in our stride. Move on.
No, I think it's great to be non-judgmental, which is one of the things that I appreciate about any organization, and about RSS also. Being non-judgmental is always attractive, which is why maybe RSS would be too. Why do you think it is that an organization like the RSS has such a stormy relationship with the mainstream media? It is often the favorite punching bag of the mainstream media. Again, I'm not being judgmental whether it's right or wrong, because I agree one should not be judgmental. But in a historical context, why is it?
Well, you see, I really don't agree with this whole proposition that mainstream media has a problem with RSS always.
I think they unnecessarily mean to you.
It depends on what you call as mainstream media.
Okay, English mainstream media.
So if you are talking about so-called Delhi-based English media, then yes, occasionally we find them to be a little too judgmental, a bit ununderstanding of what RSS really stands for. Sometimes deliberate, sometimes probably because of the training.
So I think they're too judgmental about the RSS.
Judgmental, and RSS is something which you have to really understand seriously. One of the scholars said about RSS that it is very difficult to understand it and very easy to misunderstand it. So many people, by looking at it superficially, tend to misunderstand it. I give benefit of doubt to some of our English journalist friends that they probably misunderstood us. Some, of course, do it deliberately, knowing that what they are saying is not true.
But generally, why is it? I mean, what is it about the RSS that brings that?
No, that is basically, it's a question of, it's a very core philosophical difference. The way we look at India.
In a non-judgmental way.
The way they want to look at Bharat. There is a very fundamental difference.
What is it, a non-judgmental way of RSS as opposed to a judgmental way of the English mainstream media, where they have a set of rights and wrongs?
About RSS, they become judgmental. What I'm trying to say is, we can have a viewpoint about the country. We say that this is how we look at it. Journalists can say that, all right, this is the viewpoint, there is another viewpoint, we support you, we don't support you. Fair enough. In a democracy, everybody is entitled to his view.
Sure.
But to say that I am a sinner, I am a fringe element, is what is judgmental. That's not correct about any media, whether it is mainstream. In any case, I don't give that credit only to English media in Delhi. In this country, even Hindi media is mainstream, Telugu media is mainstream. And there, we know lots of people who understand what we stand for.
You're right. I think living in Delhi, we kind of think everything mainstream is Delhi, which is not true, and historical movements have proved that time and again. What is your relationship as an organization with the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, with the VHP?
In the course of last 85 years, RSS has been there for last 85 years almost. In the course of this 87 years of its existence, the members, the Swayam Sevaks, have gone out and started a number of organizations, sometimes by the planning from RSS, sometimes independently. Vishwa Hindu Parishad was started with a specific purpose by RSS members. Okay. So we still continue to have that relationship at the number one, at the ideological level. We both share certain ideological aspects.
Is it your errant child?
Not necessarily. Every child should have that right to be errant a little bit, okay? If it is a child, but it's a very grown-up organization, it's no longer a child. Of course, it is an organization that is in existence for almost 60 years now.
Right.
And
so the Congress, but the Congress has been around for longer than that. But I wouldn't say Rahul Gandhi is a sign of maturity.
I don't want to make any personal. Again, I don't want to.
I think the RSS is too gentle and too kind. That's the problem. I mean, you don't say anything about
No, as far as this relationship is concerned, let me tell you, we share one is HR relationship. We share human resources. Our cadres we send there. Their cadres join RSS. This is a two-way HR relation. The 60s, they launched this program. of mobilizing Hindu saints to declare that untouchability is a sin. They got Hindu saints to come on one platform and declare that in this country, untouchability is a big sin. This was a great revolution for Hinduism in 20th century, which Baba Sahib Ambedkar, Mahatma Gandhi all wanted. That Vishnu Parishad could achieve in 1969 at Udupi.
So you endorse the VHP's program?
A broader program, certainly yes.
But some programs make you cringe, that they dent the RSS's non-judgmental, aura and credibility.
No, as I said, every organization has its freedom to chalk out its own program. Again, we don't want to be judgmental about their programs. But I don't see any reason. No, I don't see any reason why one should blame Vishnu Parishad for any program.
No, I'm not blaming at all.
No, I'm not you. Generally saying, they are pursuing the agenda that we generally thought that they should pursue.
Have you met, I'm sure often enough, Praveen Togadia?
Occasionally, yes. Not very often because he is busy with his activity.
What's he like? Personal interaction? Because when I see him speak, he's very dramatic.
No,
is he like?
What is he like? He has only 2 hands, 2 legs.
No way! You could have fooled me.
No, see.
He's quite a character when he talks. I'm not judging him in a very non-judgmental, interesting way.
Yes. Again, it's not fair on my part to comment on any individual.
No, I'm just saying
He's a
generally.
very senior leader in the organization. He's a nice person, a surgeon, a cancer surgeon by training.
So he's good with sharp objects then?
Every doctor does it. So he's a nice person.
Okay. Sometimes they get disproportionately more space for things that maybe the RSS did. Like, for example, if I were just to quote what Justice Liberhan said during the Justice Liberhan Commission, VHP, he's this very voluble, or the Sadhvi Rithambara is a very loud voice of the whole Ram Janmabhoomi movement. Back then I'm talking about. I mean, nowadays people wouldn't know, but during those days she was this person who everybody had heard of. And Justice Liberhan, during the Liberhan Commission, he had said that the Babri Masjid, the disputed structure, the blame or credit, in fact, he said the blame or credit for the entire Ayodhya, for the entire temple construction movement at Ayodhya must be necessarily attributed to the Sangh Parivar. However, organizations like VHP, which wouldn't even have an enrollment of 10,000, get a lot of space, whereas an organization like the RSS that has 50,000 shakhas alone, no one knows how many members it has, gets disproportionately less credit. Does that bother you?
No, see, this whole movement is not about credit at all in the first place. It's not that RSS should get credit for it or Shiva Sena should get the credit for that whole demolition thing and all. It's not about that. But let me gently tell you, Vishnu Parishad has its units in 100,000 villages, in more villages than we have our shakas. So they have a large presence in the country. But even then, I'm saying that movement was a hugely popular movement. From the grassroots, people joined that movement and they participated in a very big way. Now, as far as the Liberhan Commission is concerned, let me say, we said when the report was tabled, when it was released by the then Home Minister, we said at that time also that we had a number of objections to several of his conclusions. In any case, I don't want to...
So, should he give you credit or not?
No, I said we have not launched any movement in all these years for credit for our organization. We wanted...
No, that may not have been the purpose, but that could be an offshoot, like, maybe Amitabh Bachchan became an actor for the love of the craft, but people made him a superstar. So maybe the Ram Janmabhoomi movement was started off for the love of Lord Ram, but...
And also love for the country.
For the country. But is it possible that you should get credit?
Credit anybody can take. Our Raghuvamshi can take for putting idol inside. Bal Thackeray ji had taken credit for whatever happened on that day. Anybody can take credit.
No, I think if Bal Thackeray would go to UP Ayodhya, he'd be surrounded by bhaiyas, he may not like it.
No, if you recall, he said
Has
that
he ever been to UP though?
No, those who had pulled down the structure were Shiv Sainiks. That's what he said at that time.
So, but they were all bhaiyas and Biharis and UPites.
No, so credit anybody can take.
Anybody can take. Okay, fine. Why can't women be members of the RSS?
Now see, in RSS, as I said, we have a number of activities, number of constituent organizations in which women participate in very large numbers. For example, our service projects, about 170,000 of them, many of them are run by women. In fact, self-help groups completely are run by women. As far as daily shaka is concerned, which is one core activity of RSS, since it takes place very early in the morning, we thought that there should be a separate
They should be allowed
activity
to
at a
sleep a
different
little
time.
longer.
A different time for women. They have shakas, about 6,000 shakas are held for women. They take place in the afternoons or sometimes early evenings, 4 o'clock or so, which
why not
time
early
doesn't
morning?
suit for men. And this question of suitability of men and women, because it has to happen every day.
Okay.
If every day my mother, my sister or somebody has to go to shaka in this morning at 6,
Then who cooks?
then the things will be difficult. Similarly, if I were to go to shaka every day at 12 in the afternoon, who will earn money?
Now, I went through your website, and on the frequently asked questions, you're often asked why those shorts, the khaki shorts. And I read it's because the morning shaka is all about physical exercise. It's like a PT, it's like a physical training, and shorts make it easier to train. Is that right? Is that the reason?
That's all.
That's the only difference. Isn't shorts a Western concept?
Shorts were very much in use in our country for even for the police and paramilitary during the British regime and even after the British regime for 20 years.
Because that's when
that
they
was the
brought it in.
uniform we used. Various types of uniforms were used. We are using shorts only for the sake of convenience.
Yeah.
And we never realized that our shorts are also international news. I mean, news for news laundry.
No, they are.
You're very happy about it?
I haven't finished with the shorts. Because shorts is my preferred outfit. It's just that
It's a matter of convenience, and we actually allowed any shorts for our daily activity, including Bermudas. We have no problem with those things. In fact, this whole perception that we oppose everything and all that,
Western.
it's
So
wrong.
it's
Our
you have
day-to-day shaka.
No, I'll tell you why that happens also. While I sympathize with the RSS and agree with much of what it says, I also understand why some people say that, because many of your members come up with some rather unusual claims that Western clothes are responsible for this, wo ye pehante hain, wo jeans pehante hain. And those people have some roots to the RSS, so people say, dekho RSS kya bol raha hai. So what you're saying is RSS does not have ki bhai Western clothes nahi pehnne chahiye. There are no such dogmas.
No, as I said, in our shakas itself, we allowed any shorts for day-to-day shaka. Many people come in this so-called Bermudas. As I said, this is for the convenience of the programs that we undertake. I mean, we want to play kabaddi. Obviously, we can't play in jeans.
Exactly, because
So we have to have.
I have been to a shaka. You'd be happy to know. You also play a game called Kaun Shivaji, where Aurangzeb is chasing, and whoever cuts, what in school children in English medium call cut the cake.
Yes.
But in RSS it's called Kaun Shivaji, is the name given to the same game. Now, so I understand why shorts. But when I see everyone in those shorts with the buttons and the khadi, times have moved. Now you get, spandex, lycra, which breathe. If you sweat while playing kabaddi, they're breathing materials. They are even more convenient. But the shorts haven't, like when you see John McEnroe, Evan Lendl play, the shorts were different. These days they move with the times. Your shorts haven't quite done that.
As I said, not for day-to-day shaka, but for certain occasions we use our different type of shorts about which you are talking now. That shorts we use twice a year when we do that march past on the streets or some event for the organization. There is a suggestion from many people that we should shift to long regular pants. We will,
or maybe shorter shorts, or just shorts which are more convenient to play kabaddi in.
Yes. This is actively under consideration, and we will certainly change, and when we change, it cannot be secret, we will tell you.
Fantastic, great. Okay, then there was some, during the peak of the war against terror, the Bush doctrine after 9/11, that the Muslim terror was the biggest conversation all over the world. That time there was one particular sentence that a lot of people took objection to, which many would say there is an element of truth in it. I want to know your reaction to that, which is that all Muslims may not be terrorists, but all terrorists are Muslim. What is your view on this statement?
No, depending on what you call as terrorism. For example, IRA, Irish Republican Army, waged a terror war. I mean, continues to do it less often now, not very frequently.
But till recent history, they were very active.
Do we call them terrorists? If we call them, what kind of terrorists are they? Are they Christian or Catholic terrorists? So, I would only say that what that particular terrorist says is what you have to take into account. If that terrorist is saying that I am doing it for the sake of my religion, then take it. Don't go by what the apologists say in Delhi's English media. Apologists may give any color to it. But what that actual terrorist is saying, that's important.
So you're saying at that time, I'm just coming back to the statement that all Muslims are not terrorists, but all terrorists are Muslims in that context during the jihad war. Would you think it's an accurate statement?
See, this statement came out I'm sure you must be aware of it, from a senior bank official in Saudi Arabia. No RSS man had said it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It came from somebody
it's not an
in
Indian,
that continent.
This is not an Indian construct.
He said it. So whether I agree with or not, or we agree with or not is immaterial. But I am still saying that
you don't judge this statement either.
No, why should I? Because today, when you see a variety of terrorists and somebody who is indulging in terrorism in the name of Maoism, large parts of India, they hack people to death, innocents. We have sacrificed hundreds of our cadres to Maoists. So, in our view, they are also terrorists.
Sure.
So, but at the same time, what the terrorist says is important. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, you don't have much of a view. You don't entirely disagree with the statement, but you don't entirely agree with it either, is what I'm getting. You don't want to have a position and which is consistent with the non-judgmental attitude of the RSS, which
no, because
I greatly admire.
From that statement onwards, things have moved further.
Sure.
I mean, at that point in time, probably that was true. At that point in time, when that was made by some Arab leader.
In the same context, someone retorted, and I was stumped at the time, said that, fine, similarly, not all terrorists are Hindus, but the Hindu ones end up being from the RSS. How do you react to this statement?
No, again, that's why I qualified your previous statement. What that person who is indulging those activities says, that is what is important. In RSS, we absolutely, there is no place for hatred, no place for violence, no place for terror in RSS scheme of things. If anybody is indulging in that, he should be out of it. And he cannot be a Hindu. If he is doing it, he cannot be a Hindu. Because in Hinduism, to kill innocents, there is no place.
So, because, it is unfortunate that, then the RSS's name gets sullied because of, all the social work that the RSS does all over the country since, the 20s. Like from Pragya, Sadhvi Pragya, whose father was an RSS worker. Then there is Swami Asimanand, then there is Sunil Joshi, then the person who is alleged to have killed him, that's Harshat Solanki. Now each of these people is apparently connected to the RSS. Why do you think that is?
Firstly, the cases in which they have been made accused now, in all those cases, earlier, a different set of people were arrested. 110 Muslim boys were arrested. One or two of those cases, those Muslim boys are still in jail. They are not even let off. Now suddenly a different set of people were arrested. The names that you mentioned. Now the prosecution wants the world to believe, the country to believe that no, they were not the culprits, these were the culprits. Here also, no evidence. I'm not saying whether they are right or wrong, whether they have committed that act or not. I'm not saying, again, I don't want to be judgmental. But then how can, without any evidence, we conclude that firstly, they are guilty? We are concluding that they are guilty. Secondly, since they are guilty, RSS is guilty.
No.
How can we?
No one is saying, I'm not being judgmental. I'm not taking a position on this. My position on the RSS is as neutral or sympathetic as yours. I'm merely saying that if someone rattles off a list of people who are accused of violent acts in the name of Hinduism, and 100% of them, or if not 195, end up having something to the RSS, then it kind of weakens my position to argue on behalf of the RSS.
No, that is fine. What I'm saying is, these 4 incidents, probably only to prove this point, that this conspiracy has been hatched, one would tempt to say that. Only to prove that there are some people in RSS also who are also terrorists. You want to prove that. So
you're saying it could be possible that all the people from the RSS are framed to give the RSS a bad name.
No,
is that correct?
Firstly, many of these people, about 90% of the names that you mentioned, had nothing to do with RSS when they committed that crime. Probably some of them had some association with RSS before. Sorry, I use the word committed crime. I correct myself. They are alleged to have committed that crime. It's only an allegation.
Sure.
Because we have gone through the whole things very meticulously, very carefully. We still are not very sure as to whether those allegations are right. But they were not members of RSS. If that is the case, I would then start calling everybody a terrorist. The last week, one Congress leader in Tripura was caught carrying illegal weapons from Bangladesh. And police arrested him. So should I now say that Congress party is the party of terrorists?
No, you shouldn't.
You cannot say. Similarly, merely because you found some people and accused them of some wrongdoing, cannot blame the whole organization.
Is it often that people make a conscious decision as adults to join the RSS, or is that rare?
These days, it's not rare at all. In fact, more and more people join as university students, as
Do you think that is why the discipline of RSS is going down, because all these rowdy rogue elements are entering without understanding the culture right from the age of 4, like people like you have?
No, RSS discipline is very much intact even to this day. And
Mr. Madhav, I have the greatest sympathy for RSS, but I cannot acknowledge that someone who is 18 can be taught a culture at that. There is a reason why people join the army at 16, 17, because I have shot at IMA, I have made programs at NDA. The kind of regimentation you can do at that age, someone can't waltz in at 25 and say, now I want to become a major in the army. He will not be able to.
Even in army, you can join after graduation.
That is because they're running short of people.
So
it's a fact.
Then you cannot say those who join after graduation are indisciplined.
So that is because the army has a shortfall.
No.
Otherwise in an army, it has to be from, because that's the only way you get discipline. Otherwise today some indisciplined person like me who likes to keep a beard and dadi mooch and lambe baal, joins the army. Do you think they'll let me in?
Now see, for imbibing discipline, patriotism, etc., age is never a bar. You can join the organization at any age, you can imbibe those values. And as far as this question of discipline is concerned, we have absolutely no difficulty with what age they join in RSS. And these days, we get large number of university level students joining directly at that age.
I think that is spoiling the discipline of the RSS.
Our experience doesn't say that.
Really?
That, yes.
Okay. I have read much about the RSS's statements about different things. Other than a certain kind of Muslim fanaticism and a certain kind of Christian fanaticism, another big problem that the RSS has with is communists. You hate communists, and I do too. Why?
See,
I
would only phrase it this way. We certainly have a problem with the ideology of communism.
Why?
Because we always stood for one nation idea of this country. We always believed that India is one nation. Communism from the beginning believed that India has never been one nation. At the time of partition also, if you read the communist records, they advocated for 16 different national entities in this country. So at a very ideological level, we have a problem.
But RSS's dislike for communists goes into the 30s. At that time, the communists didn't have any, they were of no consequence.
Right from the beginning, this idea of India.
You have a problem with Indian communists, or you have a problem with communism?
That is about Indian communists, I am saying.
Okay, so it doesn't. So just to clarify, RSS has no problem with the idea of communism.
Communism idea, we have a major problem with their division of society into two warring groups. There is a perpetual war between the haves and have-nots. On which the whole edifice of communism has stood all these years and stands even to this day.
We never believed that there is a perpetual war. So there is no bourgeois and proletariat.
Yes. I mean, to divide society into two groups and to imagine that there is a perpetual war between these two groups is something that a Hindu mind cannot comprehend. That's what we felt.
You have no problem? You think it's also unrealistic? Like, I studied economics in graduation and we had one paper which, I was a little blown away that was prescribed. It didn't seem like a serious academic paper. It said that in the pure communist society, there is no police, there are no criminals because there is no crime, there is no pride and there is no ego. It was this rather, utopian...
No, that was the utopia they wanted
of
to
communists
create.
That they
and
used
when that situation came, Lenin never gave up his power. Lenin ideally should have given up his power in
You mean
order
that
to allow
utopia came?
that utopia to come. But he said, no, that was a utopia.
So you think communists sell this utopia as a brand?
They could not sell it for long. I mean, I don't want to make too much comments about them, but
because
the world has seen.
You don't want to judge the communists, although you hate them.
The world has seen and rejected that ideology in 7 decades.
Okay.
And in Hinduism we say Shatayu Bhava. They could not do for 100 years.
Okay. What would you say to this statement that there existed no state, no king, no criminal, no penalty, all protected each other by virtue?
Yes, in Hinduism, there was a time, Satya Yuga, Krita Yuga, in that at that time, in that Yuga, there was this concept Narajyam Naiva Rajasi. There was no king nor ruled, nobody to punish, nobody to be punished. There was an ideal state. It was there at one point in time.
It sounds very communist.
They stopped at the level of capturing power.
No, but you believe this state is possible? This whole communist USP.
This is not, no, as you rightly said, it's not communist per se, it's actually very Hindu, that concept of Narajyam Naivaraja.
As a Hindu, are we communists?
You must understand, there's a last line in that, because we have to read the full shloka. The last line says, Dharme naiva praja sarve rakshantisma parasparam. People will say, protect each other on the basis of dharma. No,
so
this
you believe
dharma
that
is definitely not communism.
So you believe this too?
Dharma-based society is what we strive for.
Yeah, because this actually, I've picked this up and obviously you'd know this since you've been with the RSS for so long. This is from a book, A Bunch of Thoughts.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is
Dharma-based society is what we want to create.
Which we just tell them, I'm a little confused. Someone told me this book is banned in India. Is that true?
Absolutely not.
No, it isn't, right? But was it at any point?
No, never.
Not even
never,
after,
never.
It was at no point was it?
Bunch of Thoughts is actually a collection of the speeches of Sri Golwalkar.
Yeah,
it's
so
not banned.
Guru Golwalkar was the second Sarsan Chalak of the RSS for a younger audience who might not know.
Yes,
And
second chief of RSS.
the man who actually made it a force to reckon with in India. And he's been, shown in these shady roles in films which have to do with the assassination of Bapu. And you always see this long-haired man in the background.
No, you must remember that there was one...
By the way, do you ever feel outraged when you see films like that?
See, that is actually...
because they never say it's
because nobody knew the actual history, no? There was one person by name Mr. Narayan Apte in the group of people who were accused of Mahatma Gandhiji's murder. Narayan Apte used to have a beard.
So in all these films, that man they show is supposed to be...
I tend to think that, the depiction...
I think you're being too kind to these filmmakers.
If they are trying to show Guruji Golwalkar, they were wrong.
Okay. Another thing that Guruji said in his book, A Bunch of Thoughts.
And I must tell you, when Mahatmaji was murdered, Guruji was in Chennai. He immediately issued a statement to all the RSS shakas to bring the flag half-mast and organize what you call condolence meetings for Mahatmaji, and he immediately flew to Delhi to pay his personal condolences to Mahatmaji.
So, do you feel that the RSS has been unfairly demonized in involvement of Bapu's murder?
Absolutely. 3 commissions have been constituted after Mahatmaji's murder. Thrice of course, Nathuram Godse had categorically said, RSS, in his words, RSS was a coward. It had no courage to do this. I did it. He denounced RSS.
But he was a member of the RSS.
He came to
like all these other 4 people. You have too many black sheep.
15-20 years before that incident, he probably would have attended it. But then he certainly...
But he did at some point.
Certainly dissociated his act and himself with the RSS. But there were 3 commissions. The last one was in 1967 called Kapoor Commission. It also categorically said that there is no evidence to link.
Yeah, I don't think anyone is actually, no one is suggesting. I don't think you should get defensive about that. I don't think you should get. You should be. Yeah.
In fact, the whole country never believed in that. It's a different thing.
Right. So there's no
right
need to
from
get
1950 onwards, in our morning prayer, we have been having Mahatma Gandhi's name. So where is the question of any apology?
No, I think that also could be because, as luck would have it, some RSS guy who's attended at some point ends up either blowing something up or shooting someone. That happens with such alarming regularity that people tend to kind of, connect the two, which may or may not.
There is no alarming regularity. If you want to say it, alarming regularity, it's not there. Whatever Nathuram Godse did to Mahatma was absolutely a wrong act. We condemned it. And anybody indulges in violence will not have RSS endorsement or support.
In the bunch of thoughts, Guruji also, in fact, this kind of sounds more of a capitalist ideology, but not quite. He says that it is your dharma, it is your duty to work hard and collect as much wealth as possible, but then you should use that wealth for the betterment of society. I mean, he doesn't say that one shouldn't earn money. He said one should earn a lot of money. So in that sense, you must be very proud of Nitin Gadkari as an RSS, true RSS member who has really internalized Guruji's thoughts, because he has amassed like mind-boggling great amounts of wealth. The second part of what Guruji said, that you should give back to society, is, I think probably Gadkari will do that sometime sooner or later. But do you subscribe to this very capitalist kind of ideology?
Firstly, how much mind-boggling money I have no idea.
I'll tell you.
Probably you know that better.
No, I'll tell you. I'll just made a judgment based on his daughter got married. Or was it his son? One of his children got married, and I was told the anticipated expenditure based on the per plate cost and amount of guests who came and the decorations. It ran into several crores. So I'm assuming a poor man does not do that. But that's great. I mean, I think if it's your dharma to earn money, so few
in our system, it's always encouraged for one to earn through purushartha. As long as anybody, don't make it subjective to any one person. Anybody earns through righteous means, through proper means, with hard work, and then distributes it to.
So when are we getting to the second part of it?
That's what I'm saying.
Or do you think this is also possible that Mr. Gadkari or anyone, not him in particular, has got the first part right of earning a lot of money, and then what was the second part, which was making his driver a director or making other staff members directors? He was moving forward to the second part of giving back to those less fortunate. Do you think it was misunderstood what he was trying to do?
No. Actually, these are, these could be very important questions, but directed to a wrong address.
Okay.
But you should.
I should ask him actually. But what do you think? You know him. Have you asked him?
You see,
was this part of his giving back?
In our country, we have this habit of sensationalizing things.
Right.
Gadkari ji had asked for and offered himself for a thorough investigation, which is going on.
But why
so
should
I
he?
don't want any
to be judgmental.
Any of us to jump the gun and say that he has done something wrong.
I'm not saying he's done something wrong.
Not you, but generally, the whole question, this whole series of questions
I'm just thinking people who are hammering people. No, I'm only saying that I read a bunch of thoughts, okay, that has this ideology that it is one's dharma, it is one's duty to earn a lot of money and then give back to society. I was merely thinking that since Gadkari, being such a proud member of the RSS, has done the first half of it, and maybe he was only accomplishing the second half by giving back to people like his driver, and maybe that was misunderstood. He doesn't have to get defensive about it. It's just a possibility.
I'm sure you will have a news laundry session with him.
I'm hoping we will soon. The view on caste system, he said the Vishwa Hindu Parishad was primarily organized to, get rid of untouchability as a concept. Yet I find in a bunch of thoughts that Guruji endorses the caste system. On page 36, in fact, there's a shloka there about, the Shudras being the feet and the Kshatriyas being the arms. I'll just read it out to you. My Sanskrit isn't as I'm ashamed to say, although my father is from the north and you're from the south. Brahmanosya mukhmasid bahu rajanya kritah uru tadasva yada vaishya padab. Okay, my time. Can you say? Okay, what it means is Brahman is the head, king the hands, Vaishya the thighs, and Shudra the feet. Now, for someone who's trying to fight the evils of the caste system, to endorse this idea in a book may make his job a little harder.
No, what do you mean by endorsing it? I don't know. This was a description at a point in time about the 4 varnas, not castes. You remember?
Yeah.
This was about 4 varnas.
Right.
How many castes are there today? You please tell me.
Primarily 4.
3,900 according to government data. Where is the description of 3,900 types of body parts there? Okay. So that was about a different context, about different time. In any case, legs are less important, hands are less important than head. If one thinks like that about body parts, this is all integral to our body. All these things together become integral, equal parts of it. So let's not go into it. today's position, I can tell you.
But sir, head is more important than hand.
No, without hand, only head will do everything. For your stomach to be fed, you need hand.
I can live without hand. I can't live without a head.
So
Come on.
every body part.
I mean, let's be rational.
Every body. So what will you do without stomach? So remove the stomach, you give head.
But the stomach
what will
is
you
not,
do with the head without stomach?
But stomach is not in this shloka.
No, it's there now.
No, it is not in this particular shloka that
So
Guruji has
what I'm
quoted.
saying is, when we say that caste, when we say varna was the past thing of the past. Today's caste system has nothing to do with that age-old varna system. The next Sarsangchalak after Golwalkarji, Balasaheb Devras, had categorically said that the caste system has outlived its utility.
Great. So he evolved with the times.
He said it should go.
I think that's
but
the best
it should
thing.
go means you cannot just remove it. It has to go gradually through a process. Today it is going. Today, media people are one caste. You don't see which caste your other partner.
No, so most media people are high caste. That is the problem. That is why the media.
I'm saying a media person marries another media person. An IAS officer marries another IAS officer, irrespective of caste. They don't see caste.
Speaking of
there.
marriage, why doesn't RSS people get married?
Millions of RSS members are
No,
married.
of course, I'm not saying all, but the ones who have, you make it big, are you, by the way, married?
No, I'm not. See,
That's why you made it big at a young age.
No, it's not like that. Only pracharaks, full-time RSS activists, have been mandated to remain unmarried.
Why?
Because of the pressures of work. For example, we have to travel a lot. We have no time for any personal life. So for that reason, some 2,500 people remain like that. But RSS is run by 500,000 people.
You have been extremely non-judgmental. You didn't want to give a judgment on the Muslims are terrorists. There is a Muslim issue on the English media. For an organization that is so non-judgmental, their views on homosexuality, on same-sex marriage, on women empowerment in the sense of them being allowed to smoke, drink, or do whatever they want. You see very judgmental comments. Why is that?
On all these issues, which are in a way, in the present situation, are a kind of new things for our society. What all you described today are relatively new aspects of our society.
I don't think homosexuality has been around for a while. It was just never discussed.
Not the way it is glorified. I'm saying when you glorify it, it's a new thing. Otherwise, it is there in our ancient scriptures.
Right.
That's not the issue. But never glorified. Always allowed to remain a
So you don't have a problem with it?
No. What I'm trying to say is when a new thing is sought to be glorified, which is slightly apart from the normal mainstream course of life, there tend to be different views. My point is, when there is a different perception, why are you pouncing on them? Somebody says, no, that's what happens. Not you when I say, but when somebody says homosexuality is not acceptable, you take it as one viewpoint.
Yeah, sure.
Those who are interested in homosexuality carry on.
See, I think there'll be all sorts of viewpoints. I'm merely talking about the consistency of a position. So if someone says, I'm very non-judgmental, but how dare you be gay?
I'm non-judgmental about you. I'm saying I still hold my view. I still my view. My view, the problem with many of our so-called liberals is actually they are liberal fascists.
Right. I interviewed the secretary of the Jamaat-e-Islami-e-Hind a couple of weeks ago, and their views on homosexuality and these issues that these liberal fascists all the time keep shoving down our throats are very similar to the RSS. So I asked him, I said, why doesn't the Jamaat-e-Islami and the RSS work together to make the society better? Because both of you have very similar views on a lot of these things. Something like the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh-e-Jamaat, or some such. I mean, the strength of the organization. And he actually gave this answer. If I could just play this for you. This is what he said.
मैं आपसे कहता हूँ मोहन भागवत जी अगर कोई अच्छी बात कहें और नेक बात हो, ठीक बात हो, तो जमात इस्लामी क्या उसकी मुखालफत इसलिए करेगी वो आरएसएस के हैं?
नहीं, मैं तो बोल रहा हूँ कि अच्छा है करें, मैं तो बल्कि उससे उल्टी बात कर रहा हूँ।
मैंने इनका नाम लिया है, तो उन्होंने एक अच्छी बात कही है, हम उसके साथ हैं।
सेक्शन 377 पर और इस रेप के मुद्दे पर दोनों साथ हैं, तो दोनों एक साथ खड़ा होकर मोर्चा बनाएं, तब तो सबको सुनना पड़ेगा।
बन सकता है, बिल्कुल बन सकता है और बनाना चाहिए। अगर हमारे इस प्रोग्राम के जरिए उन तक ये पैगाम पहुँचे
तो हम
हमें
देख
बड़ी
सकते
खुशी
हैं कि
होगी।
जमात इस्लामी और आरएसएस साथ खड़े होकर ये बदलाव लाने
मुझे
की
बहुत
कोशिश
खुशी होगी अगर वो कांटेक्ट करें, और हम तो हर एक से जो नेक अच्छा काम कर रहा हो उससे साथ काम करने के लिए तैयार हैं, हमें कोई हर्ज नहीं। जहाँ पर इख्तलाफ शुरू होगा, जहाँ डिफरेंसेस होंगे, वहाँ बता देंगे भाई हमारे आपके भी डिफरेंसेस है।
So, can we hope to spread the love and see RSS contacting the Jamaat?
No, that's why I wanted to tell you, even before you showed it to me, I wanted to tell you that after during the emergency when many of our people were in jail, 140,000 of our cadres were
As
in
in
jail.
emergency during the Indira Gandhi's
time. At that time, many Jamaat Islamic cadres were also in jail. At that time, a beautiful bonhomie developed between the two groups. As a result, after the emergency was lifted, Balasaheb Devras, the then chief of RSS, was invited to a number of mosques and number of programs of Jamaat-e-Islami.
Then what
and he was
happened?
felicitated. Some kind of interaction continues to this day. There are a number of
Can
Muslim
it be
groups.
more? I mean, I think it would be fantastic if the Jamaat-e-Islami and the RSS had like a morning, there's a shaka happening there and there's namaz happening. I mean, Mani Ratnam would not be able to come with a better frame.
No, it need not be for the purpose of demonstration.
No,
in
I'm
India,
just saying.
Lots
I'm
of
not saying
things have gone
literally.
down the drain because of this whole purpose of demonstration. It should be genuine. We have good interaction with a number of Muslim groups. They meet us, they work with us. In fact, in many places, they join us or throw flower petals on our march past and all. It happens in a very natural way. We would like it that way. Yes, we will happily interact with anybody who is for the good of the country, for the good of our society. We are with them.
But the problem is that they want to impose a Shariat. That is going to be a...
No, that is for the larger country to decide whether we should have one law in this country.
Don't
or we
tell me
should have
not even going to
multiple laws.
judge that. I mean, on that
No,
you
I'm
can have
saying we
position.
have always said that there should be one
Uniform
law for the
civil
whole
code.
country.
Correct.
One common civil code. You don't call it uniform because it can be a little accommodative, but it should be common to all. One law for all.
Okay. Well, on that note, I want to thank you, and I, hope that the RSS evolves, and the next time when I come, your morning shakha is sponsored by Speedo or,
can already see
not the khaki shorts variety, just to make it even more comfortable.
You
That's possible.
you will already see that if you come now.
Really?
Yes.
A whole bunch of people in Speedos?
Yes, playing football in good shoes, sports shoes.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay, wonderful talking to you, sir.
Thank you. Bye.